The Talksport Fan Network.
The ultimate on-demand destination for the UK's best fan-led football podcasts.
Want authentic supporter insight on all things Bournemouth? Follow Up the Cherries in all departments on the Talksport Fan Network.
Club-dedicated content created by the fans, for the fans.
Search Talksport Fan Network.
Welcome back to Up the Cherries in all departments, Cherries fans, and thank you for joining us. Now, of course, it wouldn't be cherry picking without the main man next to me, Mr. Matthew Harrison. How you doing, Matt?
Yeah, all good, Craig. Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a bumper one, I think. But be looking forward to getting stuck in. So let's get cracking.
Definitely. And of course, we did cover off Southampton last time round. So if you're looking for that, you'll have to have a look at the live show that we did with Yasmin. But I tell you what, let's start off where we normally do with Guess the Cherry. And here it is. Matt, did you want to take it away?
Yep, can do. So this week's Guess the Cherry, born in 1961 in Poole, began his playing days at Weymouth. He represented AFC Bournemouth between 1983 and 1993. It was said that Kenny Dalglish had interest in him while he was at Liverpool. A big Cherries favourite and was awarded a testimonial in 1993. He scored the winning goal in the very first non-Wembley final of the Associates Members' Cup. And he went on to manage Bournemouth Poppies after his playing days. So, yeah, a real club legend, that one. So, yeah, name and guesses in the comments, and don't cheat, and scroll on to the end of the episode to find out who it is.
Definitely. Well, I tell you what, let's start with some very, very good news, which has started, and AFC Bournemouth have open talks with Mr. Iraola. And, of course, sigh of relief from everybody, I'm sure. So Bournemouth are doing everything in their power to agree a new contract with Andonim Iraola amid concerns about his long-term future. This is according to former Manchester United and Blackburn chief scout Mick Brown, who remains very well connected within the game, as he exclusively told Football Insider that the Cherries are desperate to keep the 42-year-old for the foreseeable future. This comes mid-linked with potential open managerial positions with the likes of Tottenham, they're not top, are they? Tottenham, and Real Madrid, who have been impressed with his work. Of course, he was previously in Madrid with Rayo Vallecano, so that is worrying. And of course, Real Madrid, a bit bigger than Tottenham. Iraola's current deal is set to expire at the end of next season, June 2026, adding to concern that he could be tempted away from the Vitality. After 25 Premier League games, Bournemouth sit fifth, just 1 point behind Manchester City and above the likes of Chelsea, Newcastle and Aston Villa. Their current run of form has seen them lose just one of their last 15 games across all competitions. Of course, we could go fourth this weekend. Football Insider first revealed in December that Bournemouth want Iraola to commit to a long-term deal as part of an ambitious project for the club Former Man United and Blackburn chief scout Mick Brown, who has a wealth of experience working closely with elite level managers, including the likes of Sir Alex Ferguson and Ron Atkinson, insisted the Cherries will already be working behind the scenes to reach an agreement with the manager. There we go. And he said, Bournemouth will be doing everything within their power, he told Football Insider, not just because of any possible interest from Tottenham or Madrid, but more widely for the club. Andonim Iraola has done a fantastic job there since he arrived, and they want to keep that going. A club like Bournemouth, when you're in the Premier League and you find yourselves able to push a bit higher, you've got to try and maintain that. That means keeping continuity there with the manager and the players. If as soon as you get to where you're aiming to be, you lose your manager, you have to start again, and it can be a really difficult situation. From top to bottom, the club have to decide where they want to be. Everyone would say we want to win games and be competitive. So then the question is, what are you willing to do to make that happen? In their case, that means keeping hold of their manager for the long-term future. I expect they'll already be speaking to him and working behind the scenes to reach an agreement because it's such an important deal for them to get done. There we are. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be surprising, is it? I mean, obviously
No.
with him being linked, and not only that, the club's got to look after its own interests as well. We don't really want to lose him for nothing either. But I think for the long term success of the club, it's time that they tie him down to a lengthy contract.
Yeah.
I can understand the length of contract that he had initially and things like that, but I think now with with Europe in his hands, I think it's a case of the club tying him down to the best deal possible. The only problem is when you do get big names, circling like that, it can be tempting if you are an ambitious manager, which I'm sure he is. He's got the credentials to manage bigger clubs, in my opinion. But obviously, we don't want him doing that. We want him to stay here. So, yeah, not surprised that the club will be looking at extending his deal. The evidence is there on the pitch and on the table, isn't it? What he's done this season, and it's a big importance for the club, I think, to get the deal done.
It's a relief for me because I could, honestly, the longer this goes on without being offered a deal or not signing a deal, the more risk we have hanging over our heads. What I think that the club need to do, and I'm sure that they will be doing, is they need to tie him down to a long-term deal to, firstly, from clubs like Tottenham Hotspur. I'm trying to call them Tottenham again because they're definitely nowhere near the top. But to actually ward them sort of teams off from trying their hand. The spin side, though, and the second scenario is when a big club like Real Madrid come knocking. Now, we all know what Real Madrid's facilities are like. We know that, how much prestige that club has got, how much money they have got, how highly regarded they are held. If Real Madrid come knocking, I don't think anybody could really blame Iraola for turning around and saying, I want to go there. One of the biggest clubs, if not the biggest club in the world. There is no way that I think anybody could stand in his way. But the big thing is, if we tie him down to a longer contract, when the time does come, the compensation that we will get for him leaving to a club like that will be a lot more. And I think you've got to look here from both elements. Yeah, getting him signed up to a longer term contract will ward off those clubs like Tottenham, who else wants to try their hand. But when a big club like that comes knocking, it also works on the other foot that this football club will, get a sizable amount of compensation for a manager that's done very, very well. And when that time comes, and if it is a Real Madrid, we can only wish him the very, very best, because he would have left this club in a fantastic place, and we would have got a lot of money from that as well. So, yeah, it's kind of two elements in my mind why this is such an important deal to get across the line.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, let's keep enjoying it. Let's look at the next. Let's look at the next couple of games, and let's look towards. Obviously, there's a preview coming out on this one, so we're not going to spend too long on it, but we're just going to give a quick score prediction, aren't we? And for Saturday, and I mean, I've got one in my head, and I've had it in my head all week, but I'll let you go.
Same
first.
here. I think we'll win. I think it's a very different game to the side that we played, against, the side that was managed by Gary O'Neill. And I'm going to go with a 2-1 win. Might not sound that exciting, but I think they're a lot tougher team.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with this one. I mean, after watching the Liverpool game Sunday, I think it was, and I was quite impressed with Wolves and how they look like they've improved since Gary O'Neill was there. I don't really want to keep bashing his name about because you name drop him all the time as it is, and I don't want to upset you. But yeah, no, for me, I think they're a different side now. This game's definitely the bigger game out of the two that we've got in the space of the week, with obviously the cup game. But for me, I've gone the same as you, and I think that's quite rare that we predict the same scores. But yeah, I've gone with a 2-1. I think they're going to get really stuck in. I don't think they're going to be able to handle 90 minutes of our high press, to be fair. Hopefully I'm wrong, and hopefully we come out with a convincing 4-0 win. That'd be great. But I just think because it's getting towards that business end of the season now, isn't it? And they want to stay in the league. New managers come in, new ideas. They look that like they're up for the fight now. Whereas under Gary O'Neill, I thought they were dead and buried, and I said that quite regular. So yeah, for me, 2-1.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
Tuesday night, obviously to the Amex, which it can be a difficult place when the fans have got it rocking. I've seen a couple of defeats there. I've seen a couple of wins there, but yeah, this one. I mean, I haven't really thought too much about a score for this one, and obviously sometimes it does depend on how we do in the previous game as well, which sometimes may make me consider maybe a different scoreline. But minute, I think I'm. Do you know what? I think if a decent Brighton side come out and on form, I think we'll get a draw here.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a tough game. On a weekday night, school day night, at the Amex. I think they've picked up a little bit as well recently. After that Nottingham Forest defeat, I don't think that went down well with Fabian Hurstler, and they look a bit better. To be honest, they couldn't be any worse. By all means, we could go there and we could get a result. We could get the 3 points. But I think, beat Wolves on Saturday, draw against Brighton, 4 points. As long as we don't lose a game, we just keep this momentum going. If we get 6 points, out of this, I think it will really, really be a testament to what Iraola's done at this football club. And we would be really looking like we could potentially get that that Champions League spot, which is absolutely crazy, going down to 5th. I think that would put us in a great position considering the games that the teams around us have also got. Got to keep in mind, Matt, that even though, this looks like a tough game, we win this, other teams around us are playing each other and they will be dropping points. So we
Yeah,
just have to
yeah,
keep it going. Just
yeah,
keep it going.
yeah. I think 4 points from the 2 games would be a good amount of points. Anyway, I'm not
Yeah.
saying that we can't win up there at all. I'm not saying that, but I just think maybe if Brighton are on top of their form, that we. But then again, they have had some. I mean, a couple of games I've seen them play this season. They've had some funny results as well. So maybe I'm being a bit too cautious with a draw, but. Like I say, 2-1 for Wolves, and I'm going to go. Do you know what? No. I'm going to go for a win here. Actually, no. I'm not. I'm going. No. I keep changing my mind,
Yeah,
but no,
I've convinced you.
do you know what I'm doing here? You know what I'm doing here?
Go on.
2-1 win at home, and a 2-1 win away.
Do you know what? We've gone for the same bloody results today. I actually think, a 2-1 win. Let's be positive. Let's be positive. They did at us at our place. Fabian Hertzler really got his tactics spot on against us.
Yeah.
Iraola's not going to let that happen again. Let's do them this time at their place.
Yeah.
2-1 away win.
I mean, they did. They really did do their homework on us for the home game earlier on in the season, and if they do that kind of homework again, then they've got every opportunity of picking up a few points off us. But
yeah,
I think I'm going to stick with it. 2-1 win. I've changed my mind. 2-1 win.
2-1 win. Good stuff. Good stuff. Bring on the 6 points. Bring on the 6 points. But I tell you what, you can bring on. And right now, there is going to be an advert for. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. But let's bring on the whiter teeth with Dental on the Banks. To find out what they can do for you, visit dentalonthebanks.co.uk. And if you're a business and you want to phone somebody, which is quite useful, do go to touchpointtelecoms.co.uk. They will be able to do your telephone business needs wherever you are. So go and get in contact with Mark over at Touchpoint Telecoms. So there we go. That was a bit of a good pitch, wasn't it?
Yeah, a bit of a mouthful.
Proper salesperson, ain't I? A salesperson. Right, I tell you what, let's get back to the football. Let's talk about Chris Mepham. And Mepham won't get a shot at Europe. Defender is set to move on this summer. I think a lot of people probably expected this, including Chris. So Sunderland, Aloni, Chris Mepham will reportedly be available to make a permanent move this summer, but the Black Cats are not guaranteed to be the Welshman's next destination. Welsh international Mepham has made 25 championship appearances since arriving at the Stadium of Light on a season-long loan from Premier League outfit AFC Bournemouth. Mepham is technically into the final year of his contract at Bournemouth, but the South Coast club hold a 1-year extension clause that they may activate in order to demand a transfer fee this summer. So when he signed from Brentford back in 2019, Mepham has struggled for consistent game time at Bournemouth. Aside from a starting spell upon the Cherries' return to the Premier League in the 2022-23 season, Mepham has often been a backup option at best for Bournemouth. With Mepham keen to fight for a spot in the Welsh national setup, he departed Dorset in search for more regular game time. He's found that at Sunderland, playing 84% of the Black Cats' league campaign to date. Sunderland fought off stiff competition to sign the Welsh international from Bournemouth in the summer, and it appears they will likely have to do the same if they want to keep Mepham permanently. Transfer guru Graham Bailey revealed that Bournemouth are open to allowing a departure for Mepham this summer. Whilst that is music to the ears of Sunderland fans, there was a bit of bad news attached, with Bailey believing multiple clubs are interested in Mepham's services come the summer. Speaking to Sunderland News, Bailey shared, "From what I understand, there isn't currently any plans to keep him beyond the summer." He's not in their plans long term. Mepham will be leaving. Obviously, Sunderland like him, and he had a lot of interest at the time when he joined Sunderland on loan last summer. I wouldn't rule out others. I've heard a few Championship teams like him. I don't think it's a given that he ends up at Sunderland. Sunderland have become no strangers to scrapping with Leeds United and Sheffield United on the pitch and the league table, and they could find themselves in yet another battle, looking to secure Mepham services permanently. Ahead of last season's Championship run-in, Leeds were credited with an interest in signing Mepham on loan, but were reportedly rebuffed by Bournemouth. Sunderland already beat Sheffield United to the punch last summer, with Mepham choosing the Black Cats over the Blades for the 24-25 season. Mepham's next club likely depends on who wins promotion from the Championship. The 27-year-old has 61 appearances in the Premier League under his belt, proving he can play at that level. A Premier League return for any of Leeds, Sunderland or Sheffield United would also help produce the funds required to sign Mepham on a permanent basis.
Yes.
Well, my honest opinion on this, I think, Mepham's time at AFC Bournemouth is probably over, and it's probably good for the player himself. I think he's been a very good servant to this football club. Some of the performances he's put in have been good. There has been moments where you could say, well, he's done things which he shouldn't have done, but hey, every player does those. And I think he struggled with that consistent game time. So I don't think he's in Iraola's plans, and I think the club will probably let him just go for a fee. I think we will probably exercise our right to extend, but to manage to get that fee, however much that be, it might be a small amount. We might make back what we paid for him, but honestly, I wish him all the very, very best. And I think, as it says right there as well, I think it depends on who goes up. Sunderland go up, they probably want to stay there. If Leeds go up, they probably want to go there. Sheffield United, probably the same situation. So he's probably got his pick, and he probably will end up in the Premier League regardless of what happens to Sunderland.
I mean, I look at it from a selfish point of view. And looking at it from a business side, if I was the club, I would definitely trigger his clause and put a fee on him, because it looks like obviously there's a lot of interest. So would we make the 13 million that we paid for him back? No, but could we make 2 or 3 million out of him? Quite possibly. So that's the first thing I think I would do, to be honest. But from the player's perspective, He's been all right Meps over the years. I know there's a few bits here and there we can talk about, that it probably hasn't been so good for him, but he hasn't been the worst, of players. There's a fair few more I could probably name from over the years, but
yeah,
in fairness to him, he needs to play. He's at that age where he needs to, get consistent game time. He's obviously a Welsh international, and you don't, always get picked for the internationals if you're not playing consistently. So for him, playing is vital. Whether that be in the Championship next season or in the Premier. I wouldn't rule out him staying in the Championship next season. It's a good amount of games.
yeah,
A lot of Welsh internationals still get picked from Championship. It's not like when you play for England. You kind of got to play in the Premier League. Well, you have got to play in the Premier League, haven't you? Let's be realistic.
yeah.
To get the England squad, it's not like that for Wales. So, I think he will go where he's probably promised the game time to a certain degree. I think that would be a big decision for him. Obviously, I'm sure he'd want to play Premier League football, and if he's guaranteed game time there, then in the Premier League, then I'm sure he'll probably go to the Premier League. But if not, Championship's a great standard of football. We all know what the Championship is like. It's a difficult league. It's an exciting league.
Yeah.
So wherever he goes, whether it's Championship or Premier League, I'm sure he'll make the right decision for himself. But from the club's point of view, I would try and get a fee for him, make a little bit of money out of him if we can. But no, if when the time comes, like you say, you wish him all the best, and keep an eye on his career. No, I kept an eye on him at Sunderland. Watched a couple of games this season. He's looked pretty decent, in fairness. I did see the highlights of when he had that header saved by Travers when Travers made his debut for Middlesbrough. Great header, great save. But yeah, so when players do go out on loan and players leave the club, I do like to tend to keep an eye on them. So yeah, that's something I would definitely do with Meps. And like you say, wish him all the best.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I think very, very interesting summer ahead for Chris Mepham. But let's have a talk about a goalkeeper who's been linked with a move to AFC Bournemouth, and Bournemouth to compete with Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich, bloody hell, we got up in the world. For 25-year-old Roma goalkeeping ace. Bloody hell. It's crazy to see that we're competing with Bayern Munich, not bloody Morecambe.
Yeah, I was going to say, in terms of, competing with Bayern Munich, we couldn't have competed with Bromley 20 years ago. So to compete with Bayern Munich, you do really know you've come far, don't you? But
well, exactly. But Bournemouth are reportedly interested in signing the AS Roma goalkeeper Miles Svilar. The 25-year-old goalkeeper has a contract with the Italian club until 2027, and there have been rumours of a potential renewal. However, the Italian outfit have not been able to secure an agreement with the player yet. Bayern Munich are keeping tabs on the situation, and they could look to make a move for the keeper as well. The player has been linked with Liverpool in the past. According to a report from Serie A News, the player is in no hurry to make a decision regarding his future. And there is a belief that a good offer from Bournemouth or Bayern Munich, pinch pinch, could lure the player away from Italy. It remains to be seen how the situation develops. Bournemouth need a quality goalkeeper at their disposal, and the 25-year-old Serbian would be a quality acquisition. Kepa Arrizabalaga is currently the first-team choice goalkeeper at the South Coast club, but he's on loan from Chelsea, and he's expected to return to his parent club upon the expiry of his loan deal. It appears that Svilar has been earmarked as a potential replacement. The Serbian could be tempted to move to the Premier League if the opportunity presents itself.
Wow.
Yeah,
it's I mean, this is the thing, isn't it? With talk. I mean,
Mhm.
is he really someone that's gonna come to the club, or was his choice? I mean, a lot of this kind of stuff hangs in the balance with what happens with the current goalkeeping department. Obviously, we have
Yeah.
got Kepa on loan. At first I was quite critical of Kepa, but I think he's come on leaps and bounds recently. And yeah, I'd be, up for him staying. But then there's some Chelsea press that you read where they don't want him. They're trying to ship him off. They're saying they'll take 15 million for him. And then you read other press which saying like that, which is saying that, Kepa's set to go back to Chelsea to fight for his place. And there's a lot of talk about Kepa, what's going on with him. But I think it hands on what happens there. So, yeah, and obviously, we've got Neto to come back, haven't we? I think he's still got a year maybe on his deal. I think, is it a year left he's got?
Yes, yeah.
And, you've got Travers. So, I mean, it's a big... for the goalkeeping department, you've got Will Dennis, obviously, who's, Iraola's quite happy to have, confidence in to have him on the bench if needed. So, we've got a good crop of goalkeepers. So it does make you wonder what, we're being linked to this one. But I think before any moves is made for this guy, they're going to definitely know what's going on with Kepa.
Yeah.
Like I say, I think Iraola is very comfortable with Kepa in goal. And I think, Kepa suits the style as well. I know he does have like a bit, a lot of people, and I've said it myself, he seems sometimes that he might have a mistake in him, but I think he suits Iraola's style of play. So I think in Iraola's ideal world, the club will be able to do a deal to keep Kepa, but yeah, I think this is something that will be sorted out in the summer. I think there's agents obviously talking. He's possibly wanting to move. Bayern Munich have sort of had a sniff maybe round him. They know Bournemouth do kind of have a goalkeeper situation where they're possibly maybe in no man's land at some point, and linking into Bournemouth. But yeah, I mean, I don't really know much about the goalkeeper in all honesty. But there's going to be plenty of articles like this between now and the end of the season during the summer, especially if we obviously qualify for Europe. If we don't qualify for Europe, it's going to be more probably our players that are going to be speculated about than probably the same, even if we do qualify for Europe. But I mean, if we do qualify for Europe, we're going to be linked to God knows how many players. So yeah, I think this is early speculation. I think I don't know what your opinion is, but yeah, that's what I think it is.
I think Kepa, of course, the most expensive goalkeeper in the world, 73 million, I think it ended up being, with add-ons and bits and pieces that Chelsea paid. Ridiculous amount. Of course, they want to recoup something. They're not going to recoup all of that, of course. But you've also got to look at the ages of Kepa. Kepa is 30 years old, and therefore, Iraola might go with, or Simon Francis or Pinto might go with somebody who is younger, and possibly has their value shooting up, like Kepa did. I think he was 25 when Chelsea paid that ridiculous figure for him. Of course, that is what Miles Silva is. He's 25. Again, he is a goalkeeper, from what I understand, that can play out from the back with his feet. So he does fit the mould of what Iraola wants. I think this possibly spells the end of Mark Travers at this football club, though, unfortunately. Because if this were to happen, or I think that Mark Travers will be frustrated playing second fiddle anything beyond this season. And I think he's a good enough goalkeeper to stake his claim as a first choice goalkeeper. So, yeah, I think it probably ends his time here. Could I see it happening? Potentially, based on what we've done in the past, but I wouldn't be against Kepa staying like you, Matt. And I think, he's come on leaps and bounds. we've seen. I think that Brighton game at home, his positioning. I did say his positioning sometimes in the goal isn't particularly the best, but I think they've worked on that. I think Neil Moss and the team have worked on that, and he seems to be a little bit more assured now. And he is a good shot stopper. So yeah, we shall wait and see. But it's funny actually. You talk about goalkeepers because you put out a post on our Facebook page, didn't you, the other day? And people were picking their best goalkeepers. But I'll tell you what, before we do that, why don't you show us something?
Yes, obviously, a while ago on Cherry Picking, we were doing the Hall of Fame, and
Yep.
we're going to bring it back for the remainder of the season. But just to give everybody a bit of a reminder of who's currently in the Up the Cherries and All Departments Hall of Fame, take a look at this. And yeah, so that is who is currently in the Hall of Fame. So the question that we put out this week on the Facebook page was the best goalkeeper you have ever seen in a Cherry shirt, and we did have quite a few comments on it. A few people did have the same choice of goalkeeper. Some had some spontaneous choices. One did say Marcus Browning, but I've not included him on this one. No, there was some good choices. But let's just have a rundown from the comments on Facebook. And here's our first choice: Lolo Brentson. Sorry, I've said that probably wrong. Her choice was Kepa. Which I thought was quite an interesting one. Obviously, he's very current, who's only a loanee, but that was her choice for best ever goalkeeper seen in a Cherry shirt. Matthew Tights, his choice was Jimmy Glass. Now, obviously, Jimmy, late 90s, mid to late 90s, and obviously was a fan's favourite, Jimmy. So yeah, I'm not surprised that someone has mentioned Jimmy on those comments. Tommy Goodwin. Now that was Don Dawes' choice. Now Tommy, bit of a story on Tommy Godwin. Tommy actually, when I was living in Charminster, Tommy lived opposite me, and I remember him used to speak to my dad a bit, and bless him, he passed away not long after, I think, when we moved in. And but yeah, he was a really nice gent, and I always remember my dad saying, he used to play in goal for Bournemouth, and yeah, really lovely guy from what I can remember. But I'm going back quite some time now. But yeah, so not surprised to see that he was a choice. He was a very, very, very popular choice when he was playing for Bournemouth. So yeah, no surprises that his name has been mentioned. But what a goalkeeper's top that is! It's just like a knitted jumper, isn't it? Look at that.
Oh, it's brilliant, isn't it?
And
It really is.
Yeah, There's
some good ones coming up as well.
There is some good ones coming up. Yeah, so Tommy, it's a little bit of a personal story on Tommy, which I thought I'd share very quickly with you. Artur Boruc, now, as you would have seen from the clip back there, Artur Boruc was inducted into the Cherries All Departments Hall of Fame back last year or the year before, I believe. But he was Stephen Allen's choice.
Yes.
And to be fair, he's also on the list of a couple of other people's as well, but I'm not surprised that he's been mentioned because he was very, very popular amongst the Cherries faithful. And then Matthew Tote popped up again on the comments and said that no one had mentioned Mark Ovendale, which is quite a surprise actually, because Mark is probably one of my favourites of all time during my time of watching Bournemouth. Obviously, Jimmy, a lot of affection for Jimmy. Neil Moss, obviously. But yeah, Mark Ovendale, Oven Gloves, we used to call him. He was a great shot stopper. Shame he moved on to, I think it was Luton he went on to. I think we signed him from Barry Town, I think. But yeah, great goalkeeper, really great goalkeeper. But there's also another comment on Facebook from Steve Baxter, who said that the best performance by a Cherries goalkeeper I've ever witnessed was Mark Ovendale at Molineux in the League Cup in 1998. Now, I do remember this. I think we beat him over. Did we beat him over 2 legs, or did they beat us over 2 legs? Well, I do remember the games anyway.
Yeah.
It was a cold Tuesday night, 1-2-1, and we were battered by Wolves all second half. Oven Gloves was world class. They couldn't score against him. Gone, but not forgotten. Rest in peace, Mark Ovendale. Obviously, Mark passed away a few years ago now. Bless him. But yeah, great goalkeeper in his day. And yeah, I think if I was voting, I would be voting Mark Ovendale, to be honest.
Can understand why.
Andy Field, he chose John Smulders.
What a kit that is as well, isn't it? It's beautiful.
That is one.
That's proper sexy kit. That is.
Yes, definitely. Known for smoking his cigars, I believe, if I remember rightly. If truth be told. But yes, I think he had a bit of a nickname. I think they used to call him Smelly Drawers or something like that. There was a nickname they had for him anyway. But a character. So
yes,
surprised his name has been mentioned there and mentioned by Andy Field. Neil here, he has chosen Vince Bartram.
Of course, somebody we've had on here.
Great, yes. So we've been privileged to interview on the channel. Yes, Mark. Mark. Vince, he's cracking goalkeeper kit there. That's the old A1 windscreens kit. That's 1990 to 92, I think. Cracking retro kit. But first goalkeeper I can kind of remember from when I was going that was playing in goal for Bournemouth at the time. Obviously only very, very vague memories of him. But obviously went on to Arsenal, second choice to David Seaman. Had a very good career at Gillingham. Was goalkeeper at the club at Bournemouth for a bit. Like you say, we have interviewed him, which is a good interview. So if you haven't seen it, it's in the interview tab on the channel. So do go give it a check out because it's a very, very interesting interview, that one.
Definitely. It's about 2 years ago. So you might have to go down probably down to about 50, 60. On the interview tab. It's crazy how many special guests we've had on here. We've had quite a lot.
Yeah, definitely. Paul Ellis's choice, Fred Davis. Now, Fred Davis was said to obviously way before our time, but I do remember hearing stories from my granddad, and I think my dad saw him a bit when my dad was a kid. But I do remember my granddad saying that Fred Davis was a good goalkeeper that used to stick in his mind. Him and obviously Tommy Godwin.
Yeah.
But so no surprises that he's popped up on here. I believe he was actually Shrewsbury manager, if I remember rightly. He was Shrewsbury manager the evening at Dean Court when I think we beat him 3-0, and we stayed up during the Great Escape season, the first Great Escape season in 1994-95. And I believe Fred Davis was the opposition manager of the night.
Yeah.
If memory serves me right. Johnny Blair, obviously we all know Johnny on the channel.
Yeah, of course.
And obviously Johnny's had his choices. And to be fair, I'm not overly surprised with Johnny's choices because obviously, the big era of the club when he was watching the club a lot. The likes of Gareth Stewart and Mossy were in goal quite consistently. Boric, again, of any, this current era, Boric's name will always be mentioned. David James, I was actually a bit surprised with David James, to be fair. But David James, great goalkeeper on his day. And of course, Jerry Payton. So that's the first time we've seen Jerry. But cheers, Johnny, for your choices on
Cheers,
these.
mate.
There's some great choices there, and I do believe I have that goalkeeper's kit that Neil Moss and Stuart were wearing there. Somewhere I think it's a bit tight now though, but Roger Jones, another name from yesteryear. Now, Roger Jones was actually spoken when I did an interview with David Stocks.
Yes.
Check that out again on the interview tab. That was back last summer, August time maybe.
Probably have to go down to about 20, I think, for that one.
Yeah. And we also did, after the interview, we did his best select 11 that he played with and his best select 11 that we played against. Now, the goalkeeper on the best select 11 was Roger Jones. So, yes, and there was a lot of comments for Roger Jones. Bill Bulson, Peter Silverton, Bernie Martin, they all said Roger Jones. So, yes, another goalkeeper again that I do remember my dad and granddad saying was a good goalkeeper in his day. Hilary Edge,
Hello, Hillary.
Kieran Baker, which is and I believe Hillary's comment said that he scored directly from a goal kick, I believe. Good to see this name pop up anyway, Kieran Baker. And a few names.
That's an old picture.
Yeah, now this was the best picture I could find of him. I think this is an old cigarette card, I think. But Teresa Slater and Tony Smith, they chose David Best. And I was speaking to a former reserve team player who used to play for Bournemouth in the 60s, and he was saying to me, I'm pretty certain it was David Best that he mentioned that was a quality goalkeeper while he was at the club. So, David Best. And here he is, the man himself, one that's had probably the most comments on the post, and Stephen Frampton, Colin Merchant, Danny Stewart, Richard Cheeseman, and Malcolm Chiverton, who's watched a lot of our content recently, sent us a nice email, which we thank you for, Malcolm. If you're watching this, we thank you for your interaction. And these guys chose Jerry Payton. And no surprises really, because now this is a goalkeeper that I know my dad was very fond of, and was obviously part of Harry Redknapp's 1986 to 87 squad. In that cracking retro goalkeeper's top there with Cooper's beers on it. But he was probably the most popular name, to be honest, on the post. Ian Lee was the choice of Michael Pidgeleys. And finally, Andy Peachy's choices. Payton comes up again. Baker comes up again. Kieran Baker, Boric, and Fred Davis. So that was some of the comments there. Sorry if I have missed you out and you are watching. But yeah, thank you to everybody that did comment on the post. Now, the Hall of Fame video that you would have just seen, you would have noticed that Boric and Moss, they're both already inducted into the Hall of Fame. So going live straight after this episode, it will be on Facebook. This week's post will be to vote for your next inductee into the Up the Cherries in all departments Hall of Fame. And there are your choices. So every goalkeeper that we've spoken about, apart from the two that are already inducted, are up for your vote. So that post will be going live on Facebook. There'll also be a poll on our YouTube.
Yes.
Which there'll be a couple of posts coming out over a few days for you to give your votes on. Are we still doing Twitter votes?
Yeah, we kind of are. Yeah, we kind of are. But
You may see it on Twitter as well. You may not.
might see it on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, Facebook and YouTube is the place to find it. YouTube only give us 4 options in the polls, so it'll be a couple of polls. But don't worry, we'll count them all together and make sure we induct the right person.
Yeah, and I think like I say, my vote's going to go to, I think, Jerry Payton. Great guy. A lot of people are very fond of him, but unfortunately, I didn't see him play. So I'm going to rule out anyone that I didn't see play. So that leaves me Vince Bartram, Mark Ovendale, Jimmy Glass, Kepa, Gareth Stewart, David James. So yeah, my vote will go with Mark Ovendale, I think, when the poll comes out.
Fair enough. And remember, if you've got a YouTube account and you're on our Facebook group as well, you can vote twice. There you
can
are.
Vote twice.
You can vote twice. You
Yes.
can vote twice, but yeah, make sure that you hit the like and subscribe and bell button first, because you might not be able to without doing that. So yeah, make sure you do it. So I tell you what, let's reveal our guest the cherry before we leave you this week.
Yes, let's do it.
So I'll run through it very quickly. He was born in Poole in 1961. He began his playing days at Weymouth. He represented AFC Bournemouth between 1983 and 1993. He was said to have interest from Kenny Dalglish at Liverpool, a Big Cherries favourite, and was awarded a testimonial in 1993, scored the winning goal in the very first non-Wembley final of the Associates Members' Cup, and went on to manage Bournemouth Poppies after his playing days. Who is he? Who is he? Drum roll, please.
Well, just before the drum roll, right? The winning goal in the only non-Wembley final, the Associate Members' Cup. Any idea who Bournemouth played, and any idea where the game was hosted?
Oh, it's a bloody long time ago. I was 8.
What, in 1984? You were 8.
1984? Oh no, I was -1. I wasn't born. Well, there we are. That shows why I don't know it.
Yeah,
I
Hull
was
City.
thinking
Hull City.
Hull City.
Yeah, and Hull City. The opponent was Hull City, and I think the ground was decided on a toss of a coin whether it be Dink or Hull City's ground. So, yeah, to my knowledge, it was at Hull City. But more to the point, the player is, if you haven't guessed already,
Paul Morrell.
Morrell.
There we are. Paul Morrell is our cherry this week. So, like I say, if you like this show, hit like, subscribe, bell. You can follow us on Spotify, Apple Music. Unless you're already listening there, come over to the YouTube channels because you can see our lovely faces. But yeah, thank you for everybody for their input on Facebook. Please, if you do want to get involved, all you have to do is drop an email. We really do appreciate all your support. But until the next one, from me and Matt, up the Cherries, let's go beat Wolves, let's go beat Brighton, and we'll see you next week.
Talksport Fan Network.
The ultimate on-demand destination for the UK's best fan-led football podcasts.
Want authentic supporter insight on all things Bournemouth? Follow Up the Cherries in all departments on the Talksport Fan Network.
Club-dedicated content created by the fans, for the fans.
Search Talksport Fan Network.